big reason I'm doing this video is I want you to get to know the ME community. It's a community that needs a lot of support. Historically, it has not had the support or anyone to champion for them. For new drugs to come on the market, they're estimating 10 to 15 years to wait for a new drug to come to market for this indication for ME. The only other option here would be repurposing an existing drug like Rituximab, which is being studied in Norway, in which there's now this opportunity to crowdfund a clinical trial of Rituximab for this patient population. And even though it's happening in Norway, it could translate into, if successful, if it works for patients, again, like it did in the small trial, it could then be repurposed, meaning the FDA would say now it can be applied to ME from the existing, lymphoma and other autoimmune diseases that it's already approved for. ME patients cannot get access to it or be reimbursed by insurance for it until it's approved for ME. So that's what the purpose of the Norwegian clinical trial is. And that process to get it repurposed by our US FDA could take up to 5 years. So you get an idea for how these patients who have waited around for 18 years and now they're faced with the FDA just starting to take it serious and just starting the process of drug development discussions that take up to 15 years. That shows why this community is angry, why they're impatient, and why it's time to get behind them. And there are many ways that we can do that. So thank you for listening to this so you can understand how to come behind this patient community. Now, I want to make it clear that I want to get better. I want to be my old self, having my old life back, playing sports, and enjoying that feeling of strength and being able to run and just use this body that God gave me to glorify Him and to use this mind to do my calling that I had as a financial planner. I was a CFP, and when people ask me now what do I do for a living when I'm out and people think I'm well, it's an awkward question since I haven't worked in 6 years. So I just tell them I used to be in financial services, now I'm in medicine. And that's usually enough to satisfy them. But what I think the Lord is doing in my life is that He has a new calling for me. He had a calling for me as a financial planner, where I could help my clients build security and wealth, and then to use that wealth to go from success to significance by doing something good with that wealth, teaching their children about the value of caring for people in their community, using family foundations, and going from success to significance. This new calling that I believe the Lord has called me to is to reach out to a sick community of patients who have endured unthinkable suffering, and to show them and demonstrate to them the hope that can only be found in Jesus Christ. That is a gift that they can receive freely, and unlike their medical situation that is dependent on slow-moving governments and research and funding, they can have immediate eternal security by knowing Jesus Christ. And if the Lord chooses to move science forward to give answers to all of the 17 million people who live in this fallen world and have acquired a disease that was never meant to be part of this earth that the Lord designed, if He chooses to move science forward to bring about answers and a cure for this illness community, I'm going to do everything I can to help advocate for that research and pray and have you join me in prayer that the Lord will give that breakthrough to a Christian doctor who will give glory to God when that cure happens, or provide money for a successful clinical trial, and that money come from Christians, which we have the opportunity to do right now in this unprecedented crowdfunding to do a trial for a drug that could be the breakthrough and the game changer for this illness community. And to have, just without being able to deny that it came because of the provision from God's people, that we're the Good Samaritan to this illness community. And unlike the governments and the drug companies who have said no, we can make this happen. And when it is looked back on in history, where did this money come from? How did this come about? How did this breakthrough come about? There will be no denying that it came from the Lord, and His hand was in it.
Hello, I'm Llewellyn King, co-host of MECFS Alert. Over the past many weeks, I've been talking here in Silicon Valley at a place called Mountain View with Dr. Andreas Kogelink, who is the founder and the inspiration and the driving force behind a new but ambitious clinic called the Open Medicine Institute. What are the messages that you would send, Andy? Everybody calls him Andy. What would you send to the patients, to those people who are in such deleterious situations, and that to keep them going, to give them hope, and to let them know that people like you care and are working very hard on their behalf?
Well, I think there's certainly a lot more than just me making an effort here, and both here in the Institute as well as elsewhere in the world. And one of the key things I think that's changed in the last year is really that there are more and more serious researchers and serious physicians getting into this area, and there's a lot of reason to be hopeful. And some of the progress that's been made in the last year, to me, holds more promise in the field than there has been for 30 years. So I think, to the patients, I would say, hold on to your hats, and hopefully in the next coming year or two, we'll be able to really start diving into some of these promises and make them reality.
People who correspond with me and people who phone me up since I've been writing and broadcasting on CFS say, where is Big Pharma? They had this idea that here you've got a very prevalent, widespread disease that is with people for a long time, which means lot of treatment. Where are the pharmaceutical companies? Are they doing research? Don't they want to come up and patent a drug or a treatment or a therapy that will help? And yet they seem to be astoundingly absent.
Well, I think research in this area is difficult, and it's difficult in particular for the pharmas. But that said, we've taken it back to them, and we've been working with several pharmas for about a year now to try to get their interest and get their engagement on this. We have two actually very promising trials that we're hoping to put into play in the next 6 months. And then we have a larger trial. We've had a discussion around Rituxan in a large multinational
What are the
trial.
two trials?
Well, I can't quite talk about them yet, but maybe for a future episode we can get into that.
Okay, and then you're going to do the Rituxan trial, and how large is that going to be?
Well,
This is a drug that is in the marketplace.
it is, and
If I have a certain cancer, I can get this drug.
that's right.
But if I have CFS, I can't get this drug.
Well,
not easily.
Not easily. We're doing it here for.
Also, I have to sell my house to have
That's right.
2 weeks
It
of
is
treatment. It's so expensive.
It's an expensive drug, but we're doing it here for as a small pilot right now, just sort of empiric usage based on the Norwegian study, and we've extended that in a number of ways, and we're working with the Norwegians and others to set up a multi-center trial